what a movie to record to. Welcome to VCR, Vintage Cinema Rewind. We're bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Water for Chocolate.
And I'm going to tell my kids this is Encanto.
Okay. And yeah, we're doing Like Water for Chocolate, a Mexican movie, a first Mexican movie of the podcast.
Yeah, actually. And we chose this movie with our very sophisticated filing process.
It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that. Blake just sent me a list of foreign romance movies, and my eyes just locked onto the word chocolate, and I was like,
You know what? I always love hearing why you chose the movie that we chose, because I do give you the list, and you were like instant, like, let's do that.
Let's do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I Googled it, I saw the poster, and I was just like, yeah, fuck it, let's watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure. And what a movie you picked.
Yeah, this is one of the pleasant surprises of doing this podcast is that occasionally and I've spoken before about how I just like wandering blind into just about every situation in my life, but just going in, I watched this with my partner and she's like, "Well, what's it about?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then she knows that we've kind of been on this kick for the last year of only doing foreign movies, and she's like, "Well, what is it? Like, is it Italian? Is it French?" And I just cursily Googled it. I'm like, "Oh, I guess it's Mexican." Do you want to watch a Mexican movie with me?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I guess. And then we turned it on, and spoiler alert, we both had a pretty interesting time with it.
Yeah, what a weird and lovely movie.
Yeah.
You know what I would actually compare this most closely like is something like Big Fish, where there's kind of like this fantastical element to it. And I almost feel like movies don't really do this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the word that gets thrown around a lot in terms of this movie is magical realism.
Yes.
I guess that's two words, but yeah, and I mean, but it's very it's light, it's understated.
Yeah.
It's more or less like a family drama.
Right.
Like a multi-generational family saga.
Yeah. And just like Big Fish. And like, you know, there's moments where it's like, you know, is this really happening? Is this unreliable narrator? It's an interesting movie, and I kind of wish that movies maybe would have a little bit more fun like this again.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, this movie is just, like, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Like, I kind of wandered, I saw the poster, I'm like, okay, it's going to be one of these, like, swoon-worthy tragic romances.
Right.
Like, my girlfriend's gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, the cat's gonna cry. And like I was laughing my ass off this whole movie.
Yeah,
like
it's great.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, big fan of this one. I just as pleasantly surprised as you were.
Yeah, really. So I mean, I think what we can take away from this is that it's always a good idea if we pick something based on like how hungry I am at the given moment, or like something with food in the title, even fish. That's kind of a food.
That is true. I do like eating fish.
Me too. Let's get fish after this.
Okay.
But anyways, do you want me to jump into the plot
might as well
summary?
get into it.
Okay. So
How do you pronounce Gertrudis?
I have no earthly idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna decide in a panic at the exact moment I say it.
Okay, and then we're going to use that going forward, and it's going to be horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Like every other time you've pronounced something horribly wrong, and I haven't corrected you.
Oh, okay.
And vice versa.
Exactly. We have kind of a gentleman's agreement that we don't correct each other.
Yeah. If Jason was on one of these episodes, he would be correcting us all over the place. But for you and I, if we give each other passes.
That's right. That's the real bro code.
Yeah,
but,
we have name hall passes for each other.
Yeah. That's true. Shout out to Jason, third person who still exists.
He's out there.
He is somewhere out there.
Yeah.
We don't know where.
I want to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, really. So anyways, Water for Chocolate is
like water
like
for chocolate.
water for chocolate. So anyways, Like Water for Chocolate is, as I've said, a kind of multi-generational family saga. It stars a young woman named Tita, who is the youngest daughter of her family. She's got two older sisters, and there's some stuff in the beginning about how maybe she was the product of an affair or not.
Not Tita. That's her sister.
Oh,
Gertrudis.
Gertrudis.
Yeah.
Oh. Shit, this I've already failing this plot summary.
And you know what? I'll give you a little kudos here, because honestly, there are some things in this movie that I don't know if it's lost in translation. I don't know if it's the cut version that we watched, or I don't know if it was just like genuinely sometimes a little murky as to who was doing what and where and when and how and why.
Right.
But there's definitely a few moments where I was like, wait a second. I thought it was this person who was doing that,
You know what?
or something.
There's something that happens towards the end of this movie where I was talking to my partner about it. She's like, "That's not what happened," and I was like, "What?" And we actually rewound the movie, and I'm like, "Oh yeah!" Like it needed a second look from me, anyways.
Yeah,
so
definitely moments of that, and again, could potentially just be the sake that we watched a movie in Spanish, and we are not Spanish-speaking people.
Certainly not. So, anyways, Tita is our main character. The whole movie also has this kind of framing device where we open to a young woman crying in a kitchen while chopping onions, and she has this, apparently if you put an onion on your head you won't cry when chopping them. I'm not curious enough to try. But so it's almost kind of like, it was kind of giving me Princess Bride vibes, where we suddenly launch into this kind of story. We follow Tita, this young woman who's in love with this boy named Pedro for some reason. They don't really there's a great scene
early. There's just two people who young love, you know?
I guess.
When you have it, you have it.
It's funny. There's this scene early on where they're both like teenagers, and Pedro goes to confront her in like the barn or something. And he's basically essentially just like, "Do you like me? Y or N?" And she was like, I don't know. I need to think about it. And he's like, "You need to give me an answer now." And she's like, okay, yeah, I love you. And he's like, "Oh, great." And he runs off. But Tita's mother, who's one of the great, to me, is now in my like Mount Rushmore of movie villains.
Wow.
Yeah, Mama Elena.
Yeah.
This shrewd, overbearing woman. Apparently, there's this tradition in the family that the youngest daughter can't get married and has to stay with, the mom to take care of her as, she approaches the end of her life. Pedro and Tita are in love, but Mama Elena refuses to accept his proposal, but she offers her eldest daughter's hand in exchange, and he pretty much just accepts it. And as he tells his father as they're leaving, he's basically just, well, if I can't marry Tita, I'll marry her older sister, so at least that way, we'll be close with each other. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much how the plot kicks off. So again, as I've already said, multi-generational family saga.
Yep.
Got a lot of magical realism sprinkled in there. It's very much, I'm not really a soap opera guy, despite being as dramatic as one of those heroines, but you've clearly got like all these big kind of, soap opera situations where like, oh, the man I love is married to my sister, but we're in love and we're living under the same house and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Honestly, like I think Latino like soap operas are a pretty big thing in Central America, and like this isn't a huge jump from that, but it's also, I found, pretty accessible for the most part, apart from, again, maybe some lost in translation like cuts or ambiguity, which, as you and I talked about before we started recording, there's actually a few different versions of this movie.
That's right.
And the most available one is the US version, which is an hour 45. And honestly, I can kind of feel where there's maybe some cuts that if we had a little bit more, it might be a little bit more easy to follow what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize that until we sat down to start recording and you brought it up. But like, there are some moments where we jump dramatically forward in time and place, and you're just like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
But like, I thought that was just kind of a bold swing, like a big narrative choice.
Well, and it's also at times somewhat confusing because there are almost like dream sequences in this, and are like there's moments of, wait, did that really happen, or is that like in this character's head? And like, so sometimes it's a moment where it takes you like several minutes to be like, oh no, this is really happening right now.
Yeah, and holy balls, more on that later. But also, this is just an observation I had before we started recording.
Yep.
If you go to the Wikipedia page and you click on plot, you're reading like a small novella.
Yeah.
So like this movie is densely packed with material.
It is. It reminded me of when we did City of God, where it was like it's very densely packed. There's a lot going on. Maybe not a ton of characters. Like I would say there's like 4 to 5 main characters in this.
Yeah.
And it falls off pretty quickly from there. But all of them are very like well-rounded, like well-written characters that are very dynamic. Like this feels like a living, breathing world.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, quite an accomplishment when you consider that we spent 90% of our time on the family ranch.
Yeah.
But we still get a sense that there's stuff going on out there.
Yeah, it definitely pulls in like the wider world, especially at certain points in this movie, which I always love like a little bit of sprinkling of history in things as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
As context to the time period, but no.
Well, I don't know that any redheaded young women were leading bands of warriors during the Mexican Civil War. But
More on that later.
I'm willing to suspend my disbelief on that one.
So, characters are people you may know. Not a ton to talk about here for, general international audiences. Tita is played by Lumi Cavazos. She actually starred in the movie Bottle Rocket, which is Wes Anderson's first film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of the only 2 Wes Anderson films that I've left to watch at this point.
Oh, shit. We better watch that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. That one's one of those, like, Wilson brothers, like Owen Wilson, I think, co-wrote it with Wes Anderson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's in black and white, maybe even. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in watching it. My interest went up a little bit with her performance in this movie. I think she did a fantastic job as the central character.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the actors, there's no performances in this movie where I'm like, do it again.
I agree for the most part. Like, some of the English dialogue isn't maybe always as dynamic as you'd want it to be, but they're also like, these aren't, English as a first language speaking actors anyway.
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily the point of this film, but... Anyway, the other kind of main actor performer I should talk about is Pedro, the other side of the love triangle, or now we have 2/3 of the love triangle anyway, played by Marco Leonardi, who's actually an Italian actor, and they dubbed over all his lines in this movie because he couldn't speak Spanish well enough.
Interesting.
But he was a very good-looking guy, and the director wanted him in that role. So
pretty privileged at its finest. Yeah.
Yeah, He actually is like somewhat of a recognizable actor. Like, he starred in the movie Cinema Paradiso, which I've heard of, and the movie poster is very recognizable, but I've never actually watched it. And he was also starred in a movie called Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which is a fun title and probably a reference to a number of movies from like the 60s.
Wasn't that Sergio Leone?
Yeah.
Huh.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, okay. So he's used to being dubbed over.
Once Upon a Time in Mexico is not a Sergio Leone movie, I don't think.
Oh, it's not?
It's from 2003. Was Sergio Leone alive in 2003?
Oh, okay.
I don't even know.
Maybe I'm thinking Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
you
wrong.
are. That's from
I'm
the
wrong.
80s. Yeah, you're so wrong.
I'm wrong, everybody.
It hurts me how wrong you are. Yeah, he died in 89. So, who is this movie for? And does it hold up to a modern watch?
I think it holds up.
I think it holds
well.
up really well as well.
Part of that, I think, is the pacing. Like, it moves and moves and moves. And
very similar to City of God. Just so snappy, so much happening.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're moving from place to place. And even though, like you said, it takes place a lot in the same location, they use different parts of the ranch, I find, in different points in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, by the end, like, you can kind of almost draw, like, a map from memory of the ranch. And, like,
Yeah. I really like this movie quite a bit. I don't think, this is a feminist, borderline a feminist movie, but as a guy, I had an absolute blast with this one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And you know what? Part of it is just about breaking gender roles as well, and like breaking with tradition. So I think there's an element to that that's going to scratch anybody's brain.
Yeah, you're right. It's very universal conflict, right?
Yeah.
Like a young woman struggling against these systems that are oppressing her.
Yeah, not even her. Like, her sisters as well, like, play a pretty central role in that. So I think that pretty much anybody would enjoy this one. Now, I will say that this is, bordering an erotic, fantastical romance film. Like, there's quite a bit of nudity. Like, it's pretty steamy at times. So, maybe don't watch this one with the kids, but
or your parents.
Or your parents.
Or definitely don't do that. But watch it with your partner if you have one.
Yeah. Have a fun Valentine's Day this year with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When to watch? I mean, again, we're doing this for Valentine's Day. I think this makes sense as a Valentine's Day movie. It's such a fun movie that, like, I want this to be more of a weekend movie than like a weekday movie.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, pretty interchangeable for this one, in my opinion.
I'm inclined to agree, for sure.
Good, solid fun. It is a little tough to find. You kind of have to rent this one at this point in time.
Yeah.
This is a movie that's pretty primed to get on Tubi, I feel like, at some point.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's not, actually.
Yeah.
I'm actually almost kind of surprised this movie's not more famous than it is.
So I think this movie is actually pretty underrated as well.
Yeah.
It's not even part of the Criterion collection yet, and I'm kind of surprised that it isn't.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of mixed reception online, and it sounds like you and I are kind of on the same page where we both had a lot of fun with this one. And, there's not really a weak point to the production of this movie either, I would say, necessarily. So
No, I mean, the money's on the screen,
Yeah.
such that it is. I was actually trolling the Letterboxd reviews of this movie, and people seem to enjoy it quite a bit.
Yep.
I mean, some people seem baffled and put off by it, but that's to be expected.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's bordering like an art house film, but I wouldn't even call it quite that. Like, it's pretty accessible.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think that's everything I wanted to talk about for the deep dive. You and I were kind of expecting this one to be, for the primer.
Oh, okay, I was going to correct you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I were thinking this one was going to be pretty quick and snappy as well, so
I guess we'll snap away then.
Yeah.
No, go watch this movie. It's fun. Even if you don't even like
romance movies. Like, I'm not a big romance guy, and I had a great time with this one.
Even if you don't really like soap operas too, I'd say, go for it.
Yeah, it's a really cool entry point into romance films, into Mexican films.
It kind of feels like I wandered into like a shopping district I never go to, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
This is really quaint. I like this.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Had a good time here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even put my cards down now. I will probably come back to this at some point.
I think I will too. Yeah, if only just, to confirm that this movie actually exists and I didn't just hallucinate the whole thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, we will see you next time, hopefully after having watched this movie.
Hopefully, indeed. Tell your dad or maybe your mom.
Yeah, tell them both.
Yeah.
Tell them both together.
Just make sure you're not there when they watch it. That's my only advice.
Okay, we'll see you next time for the deep dive.
Bye.